What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Backwoods Banter presented by Low Key Country. I am Celine from Country with Celine alongside Zach from Zach and Country. And on today's show, we welcome CODY COZZ.
My melodies from a Baptist choir. I'm a product of a life full of hard rain. They tell my story on wood and wire. Get to know me and you'll probably start singing along. I'm just a country song.
CODY, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I hope you guys are doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on. So
Yes, well, anytime. Now let's just get into it right now. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into country music.
yeah, so I'm originally from a little town in Colorado, Pueblo, Colorado. I moved out here to Nashville about a little over a year ago. It's about a year and a couple months. And I started doing music full time about 4 years ago. Just playing little. I played in a little Italian restaurant. My first gig, June 5th of 2020. And just power of social media, things started hitting really hard for me, just word of mouth. And next thing I know, about a year later, I started getting real stage gigs. And it was kind of in the midst of COVID, and places were figuring out ways to keep their facilities open, and all of these Nashville artists were looking for anywhere that would have them. So they started coming through my little hometown, or just places in Colorado. And I was kind of one of the few guys that wasn't really afraid to play, and just was getting the call. I was getting, the call to open for everybody and anyone. And that was kind of how it happened for me. I just, was growing really fast and watching a lot of guys perform. So I was studying kind of how they were doing things, and it made me a really good entertainer and performer. And a guy named Craig Campbell decided to take me under his wing and got me out here to Nashville, and I'm currently signed with his label. So
Yeah, how do you like living in Nashville? You enjoy
I
it?
I do love it. I actually do love it. It's become home for me. I think more than anything, it's the camaraderie of the business. I love this. I can't imagine my life without it at this point. So being surrounded by something you love is, especially other people who have the same kind of dreams and goals, is just, it's encouraging. And like, I'm a pretty competitive guy, but I look at it in a healthy way too, because it just sparks that, you got to wake up and work hard, every day, because somebody else is. And, I think it's been great being around, other people that kind of have similar backgrounds and stories of how they got to music, how they got here. And, if Nashville, most of us are from out of town, and so everybody kind of left to chase their dream, and they left their homes, they left their families. And so you kind of create your own little families over here. And, it's been amazing. And I know before I moved here, a lot of people that I had known in my hometown music community, it was like, yeah, we tried the Nashville thing. It was super cutthroat. And there probably is some of that. I would imagine. I know that everyone's got a horror story of Nashville, but God, I have not experienced that in this whole time that I've been here. I think if you're going out of your way to help yourself and asking people to help you, everyone seems so far to be willing to help because they've all been in your shoes. And so for anybody that's watching this, that's thinking about making the move, I would just do it, and don't be afraid to get involved in the community. First of all, like, if you expect that you're going to become, Morgan Wallen tomorrow, you're probably not going to. So be brave and, step out of your comfort zone. I know that was kind of what it was for me. My first 2 months of being here, I didn't really know where to start. I didn't know, I had a lot of friends that I had met that were, pretty big artists, but they were busy, and so I kind of came here with the expectation that I was going to be involved with all those guys. And, and they no doubt have helped me and have been available when they're not busy, but they have their own careers, and so I had to kind of find my own story. And it's been great. I've loved every second of being here. So
Sweet. You mentioned also as well, signing with the Craig Campbell's label.
yeah.
How did that come about? Like, how did you meet Craig? And then, I know there's only a couple you signed to the label. What's
Right.
that process been like, and how's he been able to help you so far in your early career?
Absolutely. So essentially, I mean, Craig is a legend in his own right. You know, he's had several charting songs. Several of them they're hits. I think "Outskirts of Heaven" just went gold. It's was voted song of the decade. Like, you know, he's done it. He's done the thing in this business, and you know, to have a guy of his stature, um, you know, I think more than anything, he's always been that underdog of just, you know, his music, you just don't know he's the guy that sings it. And
Mhm.
you know, he lives unfortunately off of the most like underrated artist in the business, which sucks, but it truly is. He's just an amazing artist. He's an amazing guy. You know, and it's very rare that you come across guys that are willing to just like open the door to this industry and kind of help you navigate through it. Um, and that's what Craig has been for me. You know, I met him, um, I guess about 3 years ago now, or maybe 2.5 years ago, which is crazy to think about sometimes. But I was playing in my hometown. He was the second like big artist that I ever got to open for. And I remember getting the phone call like it was yesterday. Like, I got the call that said, "Hey, you know, we have an opportunity. You know, Craig Campbell's coming in. He sings the song 'Outskirts of Heaven.'" And I just said, "I don't care if I get paid. I want it. Like, I'll take it." And I remember I was at sound check and I was doing mine, and he comes walking in, him and his wife Mindy, and I just was like, oh, I didn't even know how to, you know, to be. I think I didn't know really the etiquette back then. I was just pretty starstruck, and you know, went through his whole discography the week that week leading up to it, and wanted to know like every song, and you know, just probably overdo the, oh my gosh, like I'm your biggest fan. But he was so like welcoming from the get-go, just gave me this big old, you know, Georgia hug, and just made me feel so comfortable right away. And like, he was listening to my sound check and he just told me, he's like, "Bubba, you sound great." And so then I played my set, and back then, you know, I don't even remember, I was not a fantastic performer at the time. I still had to like sit on a bar stool, and I had this big stupid binder that had like 60 songs in it from when I was just, you know, gigging at restaurants.
Right.
Um and I still had to have that in front of me at the time. So there was a lot of growth that had to happen. But, you know, I got this opportunity, and, you know, I just didn't want to let it pass. So after I was done with my set, I went up to him and I was helping him kind of change over. And I went up and I was like, "Hey, Mr. Campbell, you know, if you have 20 minutes after your set, I'd love to just pick your brain." And I think a lot of what has happened for me in my career so far is just not being afraid to go ask people for things. And like,
Mhm.
you know, and I've learned a lot of people love talking about themselves too. So if they're willing to kind of share their story, and you're open to not really having expectations for help, you're just like, "I would love to have your advice. You know, what would you want me to do?" And that was kind of what it was. It was very basic. And he just said, "I'll do you one better, bud." He's like, "Take my number down and call me on Monday." So I get Craig Campbell's number. I'm freaking out, obviously. Like, you know, I'm like, I've got this celebrity's number, you know. And I remember I called him on Monday, and we talked for like 2 hours. And he just gave me the absolute rundown of everything he thought I should do, which that's another humbling thing about Craig is he is a guy that will watch the openers set. And not a lot of guys do that, you know, and he knows what it's like. You know, he was a Broadway discovery,
Mhm.
you know, and did that for forever. And so he knows what it's like to kind of go through it. And at that particular time, I had no expectation of chasing music at all. Like, things were kind of happening, and I just didn't even wasn't even paying any mind to it. It was just something I enjoyed. Um, and that was kind of what he did. He told me that he really did tell me basically that my performance was bad, but He's like, you need to get off the binder. First of all, he's like, you got to get off that crutch, which is 100% true. And, you could go through that now. And I can't even tell you, like, there these labels, these people that are scouting artists, these young artists who, especially, these TikTok generation artists that we're in right now, they are crutched to that cell phone on the mic stands, on whatever, in their hands, even when they're performing. And it's like, but that's a huge thing I hear all the time. These guys will not take you serious if you can't let that go. So that was the first thing. So I did get off the binder, started standing up when I was playing. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I would recommend getting like this type of a pedal. So whatever. And I went as far as, and I was working construction at the time. So I went as far as buying everything that he told me that I should replace. Like the next day, I purchased everything and just started, working really hard. And about 7 months went by where I was continuing to gig. I was opening for guys. So I'd started really getting in a routine and started getting comfortable as a performer, figuring out like how to truly be an entertainer, and by sheer happenstance, again, I'm on a construction site and I get a phone call. Hey, Craig Campbell's playing this venue. The guy that was supposed to open for him caught COVID. He can't fly. Is there any way you can get here? I know it's short notice. I was like, I called my boss and I was like, he knew I was doing music and was totally fine with it. So I literally left the job site, got home, showered real quick, grabbed all my stuff, went back to the venue. Same thing. He like he had just seen me the day before, just a big old hug. So excited to see you again, man. I didn't think he would remember me from Adam. Like, and he was just awesome. And I don't know what it was, but that was like the first time I remember not being nervous for a show, because I just felt like I just felt like this was the moment. There was something with that moment. I told myself that, like, I'm not going to drink during this show. I don't know why. I just don't want anything to go wrong. So I I perform, played some original music that I had done. And I just, it was definitely one of my, at that time, it was one of the best performances I've had. And he watched my entire set. And when I was done, I was just excited to show that I had I'd been working at everything that he had told me. So he grabs me real close and like pulls me in, and he's like, I'm a fan. And he said, I got some video footage. He said, I'm going to kind of shop it around with some of my friends. He said, I can't guarantee you anything, but he said, I think you've got the it factor. And that was it. So about a week or so goes by, and I get a call. I'm driving and I get a call from Craig Campbell, pops up on my phone, and I answer it. He was like, hey, bud, you ready to come to Nashville? And I was just like, didn't even know. I mean, I was elated, speechless. And in fact, I have a picture of the moment that Craig gave me his number. Somebody actually got a picture of it. And it's my screensaver on my phone. I have it framed over here on my wall. And that was truly the moment that changed my whole course of my life. And, him and I have done so many great things since then. But the whole label situation kind of came way later on. We had started the recording process. I was coming out to Nashville, staying in hotels and just crashing at he would just let me stay at his house. And we had started working together, and he just, I was going to do everything. I essentially am kind of doing everything independent at right now anyway. But it was going to be real, just nobody was going to be helping. It was just going to be me. And, we had started recording all this stuff, and, he eventually kind of came to this conclusion. He's like, dude, I'm like, these songs have turned out great. Like, you're, every guy that we're bringing you to loves you. He's letting me work with everybody he's, come to know. over the last 20 years, I'm working with people I shouldn't be right now, and that was kind of what it came down to. And he was like, we're going to waste these songs if we don't figure out a better solution. So he kind of came up with a better plan. And, he's obviously an independent artist. And his is kind of by choice. He just got tired of the politics of this thing, I think, more than anything. And so he decided to just open his own thing. And I was his first signee. It's been a learning lesson for everybody involved, but he's opened every door for me to be able to work for, and so that's my history with Craig. He took me out on my first bus tour last summer. I did 3 shows in 3 states. Like, it's been an incredible ride with him. So I'm very grateful that, God put me in his life and we crossed paths, and just, I can't speak highly enough about him. So, and he actually got me my first big artist cut. He cut one of my songs, put it out on his last album too, a couple months ago. So it's just everything, it's been amazing.
Hey, God's timing, right? God's timing.
No doubt about it.
You mentioned too the music. Having a guy like that under your wing is huge. Your debut single, On My Way, it was huge for a debut single. Yes. I mean, it got on CMT, some country radio as well. Did you kind of expect that success, or was that more like a little bit of a surprise for you, being brand new with it?
It was a surprise. It was an absolute surprise. I remember, we had hopes that CMT would pick up the music video. It was there. I kind of just followed all of their recommendations. I had no idea what I was doing. It was like, I'm just going to put all of this in your hands, and like, just listen to what you guys are recommending and we'll see what happens. So when CMT picked up the music video, it was, as much as what you like, Carrie Underwood's video played right before mine. And that's what I say is my claim to fame, but as far as just, it made it to 178 stations across the US, which was amazing. It everything I couldn't have expected. And, I remember talking to Craig, probably about 5 or so hours before the song release. And, there were a lot of things that were kind of changing at that time. I had been in music now for probably a couple of years. I knew it was what I wanted to do. I had accepted, a lot of things, but, there were a lot of learning. I think the release of the song was kind of, the catalyst of accepting this is what I want to do, and there's a lot of, you guys have been around this business too. And it's one of those things that you kind of aren't ready for the life of it. I think it kind of just presents itself in a weird way. And, I think that sometimes you're more successful when you're not really chasing it. I think it kind of just comes, and it's easier to navigate. And there were a lot of things that I wasn't really sure of, I have had a lot of like the small town fame. I've got a huge following in the West Coast, and like, it's hard to explain. It's just dealing with that fame is weird. It's a weird thing. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for that. I didn't know. There were several conversations I had with my parents, my brother, that I was just like, is this really like what I want to do? I don't know if I want this attention. And when I started getting haters and stuff, people that just were talking smack, about your dreams, it's hard, it's hard to really navigate all of that. And then, but I'm very strong at my faith guy. I have a phenomenal family. And, these conversations I had with them were just everything I needed. And I remember a couple hours before the release, I was sweating. I was so nervous. And I decided to go on a drive by myself, which I find a lot of solace in my car. It's just a place that I can be alone and just kind of, think, I guess. And I remember I was driving and I just was thinking about everything that was coming with this. If I know that Craig did tell me, regardless, he's like, whatever happens with this song, even if it doesn't do super good, it's going to change your life forever. It doesn't matter. So that was kind of something I had to just be willing to accept. And that was what I decided on that drive. I just said, I love this. At the end of the day, all the good and bad that comes of this, I love doing this. I wake up every day so excited to just see what we can achieve, and I enjoy the ups and downs. I just enjoy the process of it more than anything. And so I decided then and there, like, this is what I want to do. And I stepped into the shoes and I let it happen. And, and it's just, we're a year this June past that On My Way release. And so many things have changed, but all for what I would have hoped it would be, and so I think to answer your question, there was hopes that it would be successful, which I'm glad it was. At the end of the day, was I really ready for all that was supposed to come with it? I think probably not. If you would have told me back then what would have changed from it, I probably would have been overwhelmed. But I'm very grateful that at the slow pace that it's done. Like, I couldn't imagine being the TikTok artist where it just happens overnight. I couldn't imagine. So I have a lot of respect for those guys too, because sometimes I know what I've had to learn over these last 4 years, and it's a lot of work. So I can't imagine being kind of thrown into it. Oh, your first concerts in front of 10,000 people, oh my gosh. Right. So that's kind of what I think on that. But
yeah, actually, real quickly, since you kind of just touched on that, that reminds me of Bailey Zimmerman, because he's like one of those artists that kind of just got thrown into the ring of fire right away. And people, they either loved him or they hated him. But going back to what you were saying about haters, look, if you're passionate enough to chase your dreams, you chase your dreams, because haters are just people who are too scared to chase their own dreams. That's flat out what it is. And they just want to tear everybody else down. And that's just a load of BS in my books, because when you're talented, you're going to go far. And if you're a piece of like that, you ain't going nowhere. So
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's so true.
But actually, I kind of want to take it back a little bit. So you were saying about Craig Campbell and how, like, he done it. He's done it. He's made it.
Right.
What's your goal? Like, when do you feel like you can say, I've done it? Like, what do you want to accomplish before you can say that?
Yeah, I think, man, that's a good question. I think I've talked to so many artists that are very wise, and they've all succeeded. That's one thing that's been amazing about opening first for a lot of guys, is that they all have their own way that they've succeeded. And so I've come to realize that patience is first and foremost the most important thing. But everyone has their own journey, and there's a lot of ways to succeed in this industry. There's no one right way or wrong way. So I think that a lot of the answers that I've heard is just, if I'm doing enough to make a living and like provide for my family, or like, keep my lights on and eat and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Some people, that's what they say. They're like, I've made it, this is what I've done. And I think that that's probably, I'll go down the road of saying, like, that's probably what my approach would be. Because I never, I think your goals maybe are to, be that A-lister, and, you're kind of, you want to play, and you want to have, like, I think when I know I've made it, I'll have like a, this might be a lot, I don't know, but it's maybe like 130 dates on the year, and it's like a true tour, and you're really, you're busy all year, and you're putting music out consistently, you're having, you're selling out shows, people are singing your songs at shows. I think that's, when you made it. Like, I just watched video of Parker McCollum sold out Red Rocks. And he was kind of sitting there just taking it all in. And that was what he told his guys. He was like, we've made it now. We made it. And so I think, I haven't taken a break in probably 2.5 years. I've just been going. And, I'm very proud that I can say that I play, my goal this year was to play 100, it was like 110 shows this year. Last year I did 73. And, I think that when I watch some of these guys that I kind of look up to, which are the CODY Johnsons, or I study a lot of guys, I'm a believer in not reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of guys who've made it and they have a lot of advice to give. And so podcasts and YouTube or interviews, things like that, they share a lot of information. And that was kind of, I love CODY Johnson's approach of things. I love the Texas artist approach of things where, they really just go anywhere that's going to have them. And they love talking to their fans. They love talking to their supporters. And they kind of garnish really loyal support. And, at the end of the day, kind of like I said in the beginning, this was never something that I expected. And music kind of happened for me. I was in a 4-year relationship coming out of college, and she went on vacation and broke up with me over a text. I never saw her again. And that was 4 years ago. And then I also was playing college football, and it was ended by COVID. So that happened pretty much back to back. It was about 3 months apart from each other. And I was just lost. My whole identity was basically stripped. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all. I just knew that I was trapped at home. I couldn't go see anybody to help mend some of my feelings or whatever. And so I turned to my faith and I turned to music hardcore. And I just started writing songs that I never thought anyone would hear. That was my way of getting things out, and, so I had started singing. What was crazy was singing. I had started finding, these sad songs or whatever, like Reasons. Luke Combs was the song that I posted that got me my first gig. And, there was I think what changed for me in those moments was that I finally realized passion, and I was listening to the words of a song as opposed to just I was really feeling the song, and that changed a lot of things for me. So, I think kind of where I'm getting at is just, I wasn't expecting any of this to happen. So I don't know how to answer when I've made it. I think I do have goals. And once I start achieving those goals, we're kind of chasing sponsors right now, to help fund some of our things, and tour buses and all that stuff. And, so I don't know, maybe give me 5 years and we can re-answer that question and see where I'm at.
Okay, fair enough. We'll come back and we'll ask you the same question in 5 years, but your answer was completely fair. And kind of going back to what you were saying you went through with football and your girlfriend, look, everything, I feel like I'm just full of inspirational quotes, but I live by this, and everything happens for a reason. I mean, when
100%.
When one door closes, look, another one opens. So there's always something better over the horizon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Zach, anything else you'd like to add on? I really feel like you gave lots of informative information here, about your career, your life, but also advice. There was hidden advice in everything that you were saying. So, I mean, if people listening to this are really going to appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, CODY.
I'm an open book. This has been we bring up the TikTok artists. I hope we have time. I hope I'm not taking too much of your guys' time, but that's one thing I always say. I sometimes feel for these TikTok guys. I've had to learn a lot of things and over the last 4 years. And, and sometimes, like you mentioned, Bailey Zimmerman, how he was getting a lot of that backlash from kind of his performances. It took me forever to learn to, be able to run around on stage like he does and actually sing still. And, that's a mental break as well as trying to kind of get past the cringiness of interacting with an audience. Cause it's weird. And, you want to reach out your hand, but it's hard to put yourself in that situation of, am I a big enough of an artist right now to be able to be doing this? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
Completely fair.
Absolutely. And so you kind of have to really battle some of those things over time. And, Luke Combs has a great thing that somebody asked him, how does it feel to be the guy? And, Luke Combs, obviously, he's like, I don't know. I don't feel like that. He said, don't look at myself like that. This guy that's won all these awards or whatever. He said he doesn't really truly feel like he becomes the guy till he goes on stage. And that kind of encapsulated it all for me. My comfort zone is definitely performing. That's where I feel the best. It's taken a lot of time to get to that point, but you don't really, that's just like, it's almost like a different persona kind of, you just kind of put on your superhero cape and there you go. But I don't think I would ever want to be that guy, that, has the ego. That's the other thing of, I've gotten open for so many artists. There's only been a few that, obviously I won't mention, but there's only been a few that have been kind of scummy a little bit, but, it's been great just to be able to see both sides of it. And you kind of, I've been able to like kind of shape myself into the guy that I want to be,
You kind of just wait, hold up. Off the record, you're telling us who these people are. Just saying.
I absolutely will.
Okay, Zach, take it away.
Now we've talked about what you've done, obviously, also as well the stage performing. Great that you love that. That's a great way to get new fans. Now let's talk about what you're going to be doing. You have a new song coming out Friday. I Could Get Used to This. What can you tell us about the song and how did it come together? Just give us a little insight so we're looking forward to it on Friday.
Definitely. So, I was raised on classic rock music. I kind of came to country music late. And, I think I was 13 when I remember hearing my first country song, which ironically was Carrie Underwood. So, full circle moment for that. But it was, I Could Get Used to This kind of was a song. It's not one that I wrote, but when I heard it, I'm a huge fan of the Eagles and I love like the harmonies and just that vibe, that era. I'm definitely in that old school kind of vibe of music. Obviously I don't have a twang or anything. So I appreciate the uniqueness and pureness of my voice. I think that's something that a lot of, we're getting looked at by a couple new labels now. And that's something that they're kind of banking on in the future is just the pendulum's going to go back to the middle and it's going to kind of reverse from where we're kind of at right now. Just that edgier side of country and everyone's got a rasp and all that stuff. So I'm kind of really looking forward to, what's coming up. But as far as the song, I Could Get Used to This, it just hits right in the pocket. I think everyone needs one of those songs that just grooves and it's something that you can truly just roll the windows down and just get into and vibe with. And, that's what this song is. And it's your classic love song, that I think is hitting right at the perfect time for all of these people going back to high school and college and, kind of finishing out the summer and the heat and stuff. And, it's just such a fantastic song. And it's, when I heard it, I couldn't believe that it was a song that hadn't been out yet. And how it got passed on for so many years just was mind-boggling to me. So I'm very honored to be able to have that and put a voice to it and let it get shared. It's a long time coming for sure. So
perfect. Well, I know Celine and I are definitely looking forward to it. We'll look forward to that coming on Friday. Again, I Could Get Used to This, a new song from CODY COZZ, wherever you stream music. Looking forward to new music as well. CODY, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thank you for listening.
Thank you guys so much.
Have a good one, everyone.